Once upon a time, high among the quiet mountains, where clouds rested gently on green peaks and narrow paths connected small cottages, there lived a young girl with her loving grandmother. Their little wooden home overlooked endless valleys filled with wildflowers, tall pine trees, and crystal clear streams that sparkled beneath the morning sun. Life in the mountain village was peaceful, yet far from easy. Every single day demanded patience, determination, and hard work. The young girl had no parents to guide her, but her grandmother's wisdom became the light that shaped her heart. Their loyal mountain dog followed them everywhere, wagging its tail as if it understood every word they spoke. Together, the three of them lived simply, growing vegetables on the hillside, collecting herbs from the forest trails, and weaving baskets that the villagers admired. Although their home was small and their belongings were few, they never allowed hardship to steal their kindness or hope. Every morning before sunrise, the grandmother smiled and reminded her granddaughter, "The mountain only reveals its beauty to those willing to climb it." At first, the girl never truly understood those words. She believed strength belonged only to people born with talent or fortune.
Whenever she watched experienced villagers carrying heavy firewood up steep slopes, or skilled shepherds guiding their flocks across dangerous cliffs, she quietly wished life had been easier. She often asked herself why every task seemed difficult for her, while others appeared confident. One afternoon, while gathering firewood, she became exhausted before reaching the top of a rocky hill. Frustrated, she dropped the bundle and sat on a large stone. Her faithful dog rested beside her, gently placing its paw on her foot, as though encouraging her not to give up. Her grandmother eventually caught up, carrying an even heavier bundle without complaint. Seeing the girl's disappointment, she sat beside her and pointed toward a tiny pine tree growing from the cracks between two giant rocks. "Look carefully," she whispered. "That little tree had every reason to stop growing. It had almost no soil, little water, and constant resistance from the stones surrounding it. Yet it keeps reaching for the sky." The girl stared silently at the little tree, noticing how its roots had found invisible paths through solid rock. The image stayed in her mind long after they returned home. From that day onward, she began looking at every challenge differently. Instead of avoiding steep trails, she climbed them slowly. Instead of complaining about carrying water from the distant spring, she practiced balancing the buckets until her steps became steady. Every evening, she learned basket weaving from her grandmother. Her first baskets were uneven and weak. Some collapsed before they were finished. Others broke when villagers tried to use them. She wanted to quit many times, but her grandmother simply smiled and handed her another bundle of reeds. "Every broken basket teaches your hands something new," she would say. Weeks became months, and each mistake slowly transformed into experience. Her fingers became quicker, her balance stronger, and her confidence quieter but deeper. The mountain dog remained her constant companion, happily following every practice walk and sitting patiently beside her whenever she rested. The villagers began noticing her determination. They admired not just her improving skills, but the cheerful spirit with which she faced every task. Children asked her to teach them basket weaving, while older villagers praised her patience. Yet the greatest change was invisible. The girl no longer feared difficult work because she had discovered that every struggle left behind a gift. Heavy loads strengthened her body. Long climbs strengthened her determination. Failed baskets strengthened her skill. Lonely practice strengthened her confidence. She realized that nothing valuable had come easily, and perhaps that was exactly why it became meaningful. One day, the village elders announced a friendly mountain challenge. Participants would travel along a winding trail, solve small tasks placed at different checkpoints, gather rare medicinal herbs, and return before sunset. The event was not about speed, but about endurance, observation, and wisdom. Many experienced villagers eagerly joined. The young girl hesitated, believing she still lacked experience. Her grandmother gently placed a woven basket in her hands and smiled. "You have already been preparing for this every single day without realizing it." Encouraged by those words, she entered the challenge. As the journey began, some participants rushed ahead, hoping to finish first. The girl chose a steady pace instead. Along the way, she recognized herbs her grandmother had taught her to identify. She crossed narrow wooden bridges with confidence because she had balanced water buckets across similar paths countless times. When she encountered steep, rocky slopes, she remembered every bundle of firewood she had carried. Whenever uncertainty appeared, her loyal dog happily trotted beside her, giving her courage to continue. One participant struggled to lift a fallen log blocking the trail. Without hesitation, the girl stopped to help instead of hurrying ahead. Another traveler lost direction among twisting paths, and she patiently shared the correct route. By the time she reached the final destination, she was not the fastest. Yet when the elders reviewed every participant's journey, they noticed something remarkable. The young girl had completed every task carefully, made no careless mistakes, helped others without expecting rewards, and returned with every herb correctly identified. She had quietly become the strongest participant, not because she possessed extraordinary gifts, but because countless ordinary struggles had shaped her character. The village gathered to celebrate, and the elders presented her with a beautifully carved walking staff as a symbol of perseverance and wisdom. Holding the staff, the girl looked toward her grandmother, who smiled with tears of pride. Suddenly, she finally understood the meaning behind those words she had heard since childhood. The mountain never became smaller. The paths never became easier. The loads never became lighter. Instead, she had become stronger with every challenge she embraced. Her struggles had never stood in her way. They had been building her all along. From that day forward, whenever children complained about difficult tasks or wished for an easier life, she would gently lead them to the tiny pine tree still growing between the rocks. Smiling, she would tell them, "Power is not something you find after life becomes easy. Power grows inside you every time you refuse to stop." And as the sun painted the mountain peaks with golden light each evening, the young girl, her wise grandmother, and their faithful dog walked home together, grateful not for an easy life, but for every challenge that had quietly transformed struggle into strength.